everyone. It's Children's Day. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Nima Akashat Zibiri.
Happy Children's Day to the children, including myself.
All of us children.
All of us children. Yes, so, yes, but on my way this morning, I was just thinking, you know, everybody will come and start shouting Children's Day now. The person living around us whose maid is a child. And then when all your kids are in school, she's buying pure water to the house. They're so busy. They come home with a full load of whatever in the car, and the adults walk home in empty-handed. And you see one small tiny thing shorter than my daughter come out and start carrying the load. I usually call my daughter and say, that girl is not different from you. It's just circumstance. Yeah. You know? So please, let's make deliberate effort. I must shout out to those around me again, whose maids you really don't know they are the maids.
They're maids, yeah.
Yes. In fact, there's no difference between the Oga of the house. And these ones have rights. They go to the best schools. They do the best SR. They wear the best clothes. I think it's deliberate. And if you're not in that space where the person you're supposed to be calling your maid is not looking like family, then you need to recheck yourself. That person that you're calling you go home and bring, that your cousin, that your distant cousin, I just convert to something else, errand and all of that in the house. I think we should make deliberate effort. Then government also, let's give these opportunities to everybody equally. Right. We know that because of the security situation in the country, in the IDPs, children are not equal right now. Some children are not even in school.
That's one of the reasons. Part of my banter was going to talk about education in Lagos State especially, because I work in that circle. And I know that one of the cardinal things the government has done is to ensure that what a child in Ikorodu is being taught is exactly the same thing a child in Badagry is being taught, exactly the same thing a child in Ikeja is being taught. They have uniformed the system such that it's the same standard, same level, so that the child that goes to public school has equal quality of education as the person going to private school. So the standard of education in primary school has actually developed in Lagos. It's still building, it's not yet there, but we're beginning to see changes where the teachers are now being accountable for they're actually coming to school. We've seen a lot of changes within the children. Their class tests, they are reading better. Many of them, I'm happy because I'm seeing the change.
Well, you know, we shouldn't even use Lagos State to do standard.
Yes.
Because from even the time of BRF, there are debates. No private school beats the public school children. You know, we shouldn't even use Lagos State. Let's talk about
other states.
And then we should talk about one to do.
I'm very juried up today.
Very like.
Even the bamboo.
Some days you just choose to use something to spice up your life. You know, children.
This is my favorite look of you. Just like when you're in the hair, right? I think it's so gorgeous.
Pineapple. Pineapple.
Really? I wanted to talk about the fun part of being a child, and the fact that we're celebrating Children's Day, and one of the things that is important about being a child is that you have fun. You play. There are no responsibilities. So I want every adult to remember the child in them today and do laugh, play, roll on the floor if you have children, do something that you used to do freely when you were a child. And I want parents who are rushing their children to being adults, parents who are putting that huge responsibility on their children to also help their children be children. Right. Dress them as children. Let the children be who they are. And you as adults connect with your inner child today. Have fun.
How are you doing, Bissy?
I'm doing amazing.
I love your Ankara song.
As in House of Bissy.
I'm going to get for you. Yeah, it's House of Bissy. For me, I just read. So my kids came back from for midterm. They were not supposed to come back because of COVID, but the father was like, I don't care, they are going to do the PCR, it doesn't matter, I want to see my children for these few days. You know, we put fire on the principal, and then they had to release just 2 of them, the whole school, to come home. And then yesterday night, we stayed till like 12. Midnight, they were gisting me their experiences, and my daughter was reporting to me that they don't allow my brother play. They don't give them enough play time. You know, they're always harassing him. He should go and read, he should go and read. He's still in primary school. They don't know he's still in primary school. And I was like, whoa, I'm going to take this off because I know that at that age, when you have a knowledge, you know, it's good that you educate people who sometimes forget. It's not like they don't know, but sometimes they forget. Children need enough play time.
Certainly, but there's also an argument that if you let them get used to reading at this age, when they get older, it'll be easier.
No, it's not,
they're younger now.
It's not a big deal. See, everything has its time and place. Right. I played a lot. I climbed trees. I jumped fence. Nobody reads more than me today. So it's not by that. Allow my children play. Biko.
Okay. Allow children.
allow children generally play and have Children's Day to everyone.
Topic, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Because
they need enough play time.
Because me, I was grilled. There's that time where you have to study. I think the only play I had was myself.
You're uptight now. You don't know you're uptight.
I grew up.
You don't play that much. You know they follow. You know they play. They can't play where we play.
As in, Nima is a player.
I fell into the tank. I got caught. I climbed the trees. I climbed the trees into 21.
We played. No, I played. Forget.
So, to play or not to play? That's the question. Let's go on a break. We go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, let's start with the nation. Constitution, state police power devolution top talks. Buhari not against open grazing ban, says presidency. Why are they still talking? El Rufai sacks 19 aides. Sultan laments inaction on security plans. Scores feared killed in Kebbi ferry accident. 100 Ekiti students hospitalized after inhaling chemical. Okay, let's start with Buhari is not against open grazing.
Who took that?
So, the story about President Muhammadu Buhari not being against open grazing was actually Garba Shehu responding to people's response to his statement about the presidency. Because his first statement concerning the presidency was that the southern government did not prefer any tangible solution. So now he was going back to say that the president, because he said the response to his statement now has become attack against the president. And he's saying that the president wants to end open grazing. He is not against the ban. He's just against the implementation. And that the government already has a plan they would implement by June this year. And he should take the process. According to him, he said those opposed to ranching will change their minds when this system we're seeing right now becomes, the system they want to implement in June becomes functional.
In addition, Garba Shehu was also saying that the reason why President didn't even, possibly, that he has not spoken to the President, but there's a possible reason why he didn't come for the burial of the general. Is because, is that related to what you just said?
No, it's not.
Sorry. It's a different one.
Another thing he mentioned that I wanted to take was the police. He said state policing, that many people are clamoring for state policing, but that many of it's obvious that many states are insolvent, and that is it the state police that you would employ, give them a gun, and be unable to pay their salaries for almost a year, which many states have not even paid their teachers and civil servants, that you would end up increasing the number of criminals we have outside. So,
okay, so the
Sultan of Sokoto,
yes,
spoke at the commencement of the 3-day National Security Summit organized by the House of Reps, a special ad hoc committee on national security. And he was saying that we need to alter the strategies to halt worsening insecurity in the country, saying that we can't keep doing something the same way and expect a different result. He said over 15 years now that he's been in position, we've had from one summit to the other, from another summit to the other. At the end of the day, everybody's just talking, no implementation, no action is taken. And it's not enough to just, have a summit, have a committee, come up with solutions, and then leave the solutions lying on the table without taking proper actions to ensure that you enforce what you have discussed about. Right. So it's time to give more action and not to talk. And we should be very careful about ethnic lines, religious lines. We can't keep, blaming one side of the divide, saying, is this people's fault? The other people are saying, is that people's fault? We need to be very careful and change our strategies. Okay,
moving on to the Punch. Debt rises by 20.8 trillion naira under Buhari, servicing GOP's 10.26 trillion, actually. Following Punch reports, Lagos seals off Chinese firm over teenager's death. If cannabis is legalized, Nigeria becoming den of junkies and criminals, says Marwa. Masari Force presidency backs governor, says open grazing on Islamic. Contributory pension assets rise to 12.4 trillion, say Pencom. Ekiti orders probe as 100 students hospitalized after fumigation. Red Cross blames overloading Buhari. Buhari mourns as 150 drowned in Kebbi. Ooh, Buhari didn't consult widely in judiciary autonomy. Okay.
Major headline.
Major headline, please.
Just following what our Let's Talk yesterday, the DMO has released our death profile, saying that between June 30, 2015, after the president became president, and December 31st, 2020, we have a debt profile from 12.2 trillion rise to about 32.9 trillion. And out of that debt profile, 29.91 trillion of that amount is a federal government debt that you know they've been getting. And economists, while reacting to this news, were saying, you know, we don't fault borrowing. Countries borrow to do things. And the only problem with this particular administration is that you find it difficult to see what the borrowing was for. So if you borrow and you're targeting a particular revenue generation facility that you want to develop or build, and that the development is getting that revenue, you know that something is paying back the debt. But we keep borrowing and we're servicing and we still borrow our servicing to pay salaries.
Yeah,
and we know they are not growing the revenue required.
Funds fall into the cracks of corruption.
Right.
Yes.
All right, I have two stories there, but let me take Governor Masari of Katsina State is saying that we need the necessary infrastructure on livestock farming should be provided in states for ranching instead of promoting open grazing. So he's against the open grazing, saying specifically that it's un-Islamic and it's not the best way. According to him, the herders movement is essentially in search of two things, water and fodder. And those things can be provided for them within ranches. So it shouldn't be, it's wrong for them to have an open grazing. Was that a story you want to take in punch?
Yes. So
human interest.
A 17-year-old Babatunde Abdurrahman, yes, lost his life in an industrial accident on the day he resumed work in a manufacturing firm. So according to the story, he resumed work and they just took him straight to start operating the machines without proper training, and then he died immediately. So the Lagos State Safety Commission started out an investigation in the company and realized that they didn't have, they had poor recruitment, they had their electricals were not wired properly. Everything was just so risky. You know, machines were just exposed and all of that. And so they have sealed off the manufacturing firm, saying that they violated their safety precautions in its operations. And they are warning if you know any manufacturing firm around that really do not take proper care of safety precautions for their staff, we can report
NLC can get us this information. You can make sure that, you know, they are part of labor. You can go there, picket, and try to see what the standards are. You know, the health standards are in those factories. And a lot of them. One caught fire on First Rainbow yesterday. From morning till I returned, the fire was still on. A rubber factory at First Rainbow in Amodofin yesterday.
All right, we have to go on a break, but the chairman of the NDLEA has said that we cannot legalize cannabis. According to him, there's a direct link between the amount the drug abuse and insecurity. And it's according to him about 10.6 million Nigerians are abusing cannabis. And if we legalize it, we're going to just turn Nigerians to junkies. The countries that actually legalize these things have a very strong structure as regards to monitor and to combat the abuse. So we are still trying to build ours, and it's very immature and premature for us to begin to think of legalizing cannabis. Okay, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to Vanguard. Wave of attacks threatening Nigeria's existence as National Assembly. Not going back on Asaba Declaration. I love that term, Asaba Declaration.
That's my town, baby.
4.2 million pounds. Not yet returned to Delta State. That's their accountant. 100 persons feared dead in Niger boat mishap. Oh, wow. Rep. Samuel Malami over alleged blockage of $60 billion repatriation. Lasso Sanwo-Olu to constitute new governing council. Constitution amendment, demand for fiscal federalism, state police dominate submissions.
Let me take Delta State. And I was thinking from the Commissioner for Information's angle that...
Our account has not been credited.
Because the federal government said they have sent this 4.2 million pounds to Delta State. Delta State,
has not hit the account.
I saw that Senate committee drilling that man. And I think they put words in his mouth for him to say that the money has been paid, that, you know, and that he's supposed to go back. But now the Office of the Accountant General is saying, this money said the paperwork, all the tidiness have not been tidied up. So they have not, the money have not dropped. It has not yet gone.
Please, Delta, say when you get alert.
We want to know. We're following that money.
We are following that money.
What we're laughing over is really, really bad. The inconsistency of information. Somebody.
Don't worry, they will get alert. This process, don't even process. Don't worry.
The money is there.
Lima is monitoring.
They need to resolve all the issues surrounding the money before.
Major headline, please. Who has that major?
I have the major headline. So it was just so the Senate had a summit. Organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja, and they started talking about all the insecurity issues, and they were listing the problems. There was something they said here. I want to say here that Nigeria is at crossroads today. The very essence of the existence of this country is under serious threat. What started as insurgency in 2009 or so in the northwestern part of Yobe has now snowballed into full-scale insurgency in the entire northeast. What was not known to us in the northwest is now today is the home of banditry and kidnapping. The north central, as we all know, is not safe. It suffers from the clashes between herders and farmers, and the recent introduction in the southeast is another serious threat to the existence of the country, as government institutions are targeted, our police and security personnel killed on a daily basis. So now everybody needs to come together to work towards building a united front, towards fighting. He said, a criminal is a criminal. Right. Whatever name you want to color it, do not color it. We need to fish out the criminals, the criminal elements who are perpetrating all of this.
I was going to take the story from Garba Shehu is still talking. Why Buhari didn't attend burial of CEO, that's the Chief of Army Staff. Garba Shehu, please maybe you should just calm down. Maybe all the people, he said he was on the station and he was being interviewed. And he said that he has not spoken to the president, but he knows the president doesn't like taking all these bad rules. He says the president's dislike for road closure during presidential movements could have informed his decision not to attend the burial. Please. Garba Shehu. Moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. Return to 1963 Constitution. State police, fiscal federalism dominate the conversations on constitutional review. Buhari says insecurity affecting his developmental plans. Buhari's Executive Order 10 on judicial autonomy, unnecessary and ill-advised, says NGF. Over 100 missing, 22 rescued, 5 dead in Kebbi boat tragedy. Fumigation lands over 100 students in hospital in Ekiti. FG states FCT to get $750 million World Bank grant for 2 years. And Accountant General makes a U-turn, says £4.2 million Ibori loot is yet to be received. Okay, before we go to the major headline, and NYSC also says that the youth minister of sports says that NYSC will not be scrapped. Yes. Before we take the major headline, let's take the Ekiti story. Who has you have the Ekiti story? The 100.
Yes, I have the story.
Please, what happened?
Yes, so 100. Okay, I want to get the name of the fire service that came to the school. So students of the College of Health and Technology, Jeru Ekiti, on Wednesday they went on rampage because the fire service came to fumigate the environment, and by the time they were done, it caused a lot of, some of the students were asthmatic, some had other issues, but then it caused harm because 100 of them collapsed while they were writing exams in their different halls. And so they, went on rampage. They were asking their administrator what happened. They started, it was a peaceful protest, and then it went violent, and then they started, destroying properties in the environment, the buses, the cars, and everything, worth millions of naira. And but the school has given out a statement saying that some of the students are already recuperating in the hospital. About 34 of them have been released already. Some are still in the hospital.
If things happen, but should you begin to destroy property?
They were held. No, their lives were at risk.
No, we need to fix it.
We need to address.
Let me address my point.
Yes.
Just a minute. The Federal Fire Service is a safety agency.
Yes.
You don't fumigate when children are writing the exams knowing they would not leave that exam.
Yes.
And in a Nigerian setting, you leave your exam even when your health is at risk. You fail and you stand the risk of repeating your class. Yeah. Who does that?
So let me address.
So forget their protest. That is a later matter.
Nima, we have an issue. There was a major issue. Yeah. The fire service, what they did was wrong.
Totally out of place.
was terribly wrong.
Yeah.
However, we need to stop this anarchy, this action of lack of law and order. We need to stop destroying our commonwealth. Because guess what? It is the students that will suffer this thing. What has gotten burnt now will not get replaced in the next few months because there's no money.
In addition, we always talk about the civilized society. In addition to that, I think, hold on, Nima. In addition to that, I think we need to learn to do things right. So the school has started investigation. They had picked up the police had picked up the fire service people that came. They are actually being investigated at the moment. I think that. See, so I didn't expect that students who are supposed to be civilized, who are supposed to be learning how to do things properly, will now resort to violence and destroying properties. That's what's going to happen in the future. So if we have the good luck on the streets on one side, we now have students on the other side.
Just again, just to put things in proper perspective, if they had a proper avenue to express their grievances,
they can. They can without destroying. Nima, they can express without.
You said it's a hot topic today. We have to move on.
It was a peaceful one. Okay, let's just go to the constitutional review. So yesterday, the constitutional review for the amendment of the 1999 Constitution happening across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country, took place yesterday. And amongst them, most of the things being discussed is reversion to the 1963 federal constitution that we had, where all the zones had control, restructuring for...
Okay, so you lost your train of thought. Okay, so the point is, they started that regional discussion on constitutional review, where various people are now coming together. We have, I think, 2 senators per region. So I'm talking about different, and what tops the list is the evolution of power. And what they all agreed is that, listen, when you say we want to restructure, what they are really saying is we want you to go back to what's the 1963 constitution period. Because there's that question of what exactly does restructuring mean?
Because that particular 1963 constitution had a proper structure of fiscal federalism, national security and all of that happening. And those are the things we're demanding now. But inclusive, let me just loud it for Lagos State. They're asking for their special status, as you know, economic status for the state.
They have very little land mass. Yes, they have a lot of responsibilities, and they feel that they should be given this kind of.
And they work hard for it. They do.
Final paper, I think.
Please, we need to quickly
one story from Daily Sun. Yeah.
Okay, there's a story that we skipped. El Rufai sacking 19 aides, and there are many issues going on within the state right now. They've sacked a lot of people and still sacking more. And 19 aides have been sacked across different, most of them deputy chief legislative officer, assistants to the deputy chief, all these layers. He's cutting them up because the cost of governance is heavy. And they also increased the bill of the school. So the school, that's the Kaduna State University students, are protesting that you are cutting salaries you are sacking our parents, and you have increased our school fees from 35,000 to 150,000 naira.
We need to invite him.
He should explain what happened.
We have a lot to talk to him about. So hopefully our producers will try to reach out to him. I want us to take the Kebbi story. 154 died.
Yes, major headline. So yesterday, the boat that capsized on the River Niger, heading from Kebbi to Niger State, 180 people were on that boat. It was a wooden boat. And on top of 180 people, the boat was carrying bags of sand for gold miners. It was carrying 30 Bajaj motorcycles, along with 180 people. And since it capsized, only 22 people have been rescued and 5 confirmed dead. They're still underwater trying to get 150-something people.
Jeez.
Who does that now? Why are we this greedy?
This boat, nobody, of course, had life jacket, nothing. I think even me, too, I worry because we love to use the jetties around Amu-Odofin. I think it's the fastest means, but we should have coastal guards. The safety around waterways should be...
Another thing I don't want us to miss is the fact that the Association of Master Bakers and Caterers of Nigeria has directed all its members to increase the price of baking products, biscuits and bread, by 30%. They said this hike is because of the increase in price of goods that have everything. The flour, the number of flour they use has increased from 6 million naira to 9 million naira. And that the NAFDAC and registration, these bodies that monitor foods, need to make things easier for them. So if the legislature if the goods used cannot be reduced, then cost of production from within the government can also be reduced. Right now, bread is already expensive, and my children can't eat this thing.
Bread, no. Let's eat yam.
We need government to intervene. This is a major topic. 30% hike is going to affect us.
We used to buy bread 250. Then it moved to 300.
Now it's 500.
About
500. Yeah.
And now they want to increase it by 30%. Right? Calculate it. How many Nigerians can? This is our staple food. We can't. It's
Treat, yeah.
Anyway, before I run off, let me let you.
Yeah, I'm going down course.
Nima, that point concerning the students. Let me let you land that point. It's important to land the point because we're trying to inform.
Yeah.
We've heard, no, let me situate it. We've heard the side of this of the school. Say
they're investigating.
Yeah.
So this said the protest was initially peaceful.
And then it turned violent.
It turned violent. Yeah. So probably they were resistant.
Yeah.
And you're talking about your classmates lying down in the hospitals. You don't know what caused their illnesses. Their lives were, at risk. I believe that, number one, the fire service shouldn't be the culprit in this case.
Right.
Not the fire service.
Know better.
The school should know better.
Yeah. Right.
Then two, the students whose lives were, were forced to be attacked because they had to take exams, should have a proper channel to express grievances within school. And they should not have been resistant.
What we're saying, however, is that they have a right to protest, and they should protest. However, destruction of poverty was violent.
With our attitude to, you were provoked to take it out. No. We shouldn't be scared by protest. So don't resist any protest to the point they now have to get to that point. If you attack them, they'll defend themselves.
That's all we can take on this. Let's go on a break. When we come back, move on to our hot topic. It's Children's Day. That's all we're celebrating today. See you in a moment.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So there are so many issues surrounding the country at the moment, and this is one way, and one way or the other, it affects the Nigerian child. Now, from the issue of abduction to kidnapping to molestation, these are various things women and children go through. So we ask, it's Children's Day. Have we really improved the laws protecting our children? Joining us on the show now is a child rights advocate, parenting enthusiast, and life coach, Dr. Nimi Ekere. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you, Mariah.
Good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
I know we like to celebrate children today, which is absolutely what we're going to do today. But it's also an important day to remind ourselves of what can be done and what have we done so far to protect our children. In your work as a child rights advocate, do you think we have actually made some important strides in this issue of protection, or there's still a long way to go in protecting rights of children?
Thank you for that question. I think we have a long way to go. So I'll give you reasons, and maybe at the end of the day, you'll draw your conclusions. First of all, UNICEF carried out a survey in 2020, and it states that Nigeria has the highest number of children that are out of school. So as we speak, we have the highest number of out-of-school children. 3.2 million children are out of school right now, aged 10 to 14 years. So if they're out of school, what are they doing? Hawking, prostituting, and they're probably involved in kidnapping, I mean, there are all sorts of atrocities and vices. Right now, under 5 mortality, that's death from children, deaths that will call, 0 to 5, I mean, you are abreast. Nigeria is leading, and this is also based on the UNICEF finding of 2020. So children are dying from preventable causes like malaria, malnutrition, meningitis, things that are avoidable. We have the Child Rights Act. How many? She's a lawyer. She'll buttress this saying or this fact. How many states have adopted the Child Rights Act? Just 25. So we have 11 states that have not adopted it. And this was domesticated in Nigeria in 2003. So it's almost a decade. So what are we waiting for? Our children are not protected in any way. So if bringing it back home, like if I have to be practical, a child is abused and we make noise about it, we scream, we shout. After some time, it's swept under the carpet. The case goes moribund. The perpetrator is, maybe a big man with money, influence, and power, and suppresses the victim. So it just continues and continues. The cycle continues. People are abusing children, and then the children, in turn, grow up to be abusers. So we're just in a society that has not protected the children enough.
Right, Dr. Nimi, I worry because I'm a parent raising 3 kids. And, you know, at the time I was growing up, things weren't as bad. They could leave us at home. We were able to take care of ourselves and handle ourselves very well. But right now, sometimes the abuse happens, and as a parent, you're not even aware because the children are not talking. So I want you to give us practical tips of how you can identify very early that something is happening to your child, and what steps are you meant to take? Because sometimes when you even identify, you don't know what to do, you don't know who to turn to, you don't tell family members, say, shh, shh, shh. You should be hidden within the family and all of that. How do you identify that something is happening, and what is the right step to take? First step, right step, steps to take.
Okay. That's a very good question. So a lot of parents are so busy, they have to make ends meet, things are so tough. In those days, price of food, we didn't have it this, we didn't have it this bad. Inflation wasn't this bad. Right now, you go to the market, you can't even buy anything. So parents are so busy and overwhelmed. They come back home and the children are at the mercy of house helps, nannies. And so because of that, the children can't even, there's no relationship with the children. So the child is being abused and they can't tell mommy, they can't tell daddy. Sometimes mommy might even suspect that something is wrong, but she can't place her finger to it. And so, I mean, that's all. The child, it continues. So back to your question, we have to pay attention to detail. You have to be close to your child. It doesn't matter how busy you are. There should be a way of striking a balance. Your child should be able to tell you everything. And then people we employ, have we done our checks? Some people are known abusers, and they come in and continue from where they stop.
Let's go back to the figures that you just read out of school children and the children mortality in Nigeria. I'd say some states make efforts. So let's talk about what parents can do. Parents whose children are out of school, do they deliberately want their children to be educated, or they just leave them to our life? Because people say society will raise you, streets will form you.
Yeah. So
they just leave their children. In Lagos State, for instance, they provided everything. I have some children that I stand for as guardian in public schools in Lagos all the time. My tax and family tax card is what they use. Their parents deliberately want their kids to go to school. About 3 of them, for this new set that I had to register, were registered because their parents wanted to have education, and they cannot afford to have a tax card. They don't have that line. I provided it. So that's a deliberate parent who cannot afford the private school, but they want education for their children. How many parents?
How do we reach to the ones that are not interested? How do we reach out to
those ones who are not even aware? And how do we get their minds, to get to that point where, they will take advantage of what the government has been able to provide? In the hospitals in Lagos, children care, pediatric care is free. Drugs are also free. You only register with 500 Naira card. Even to the Federal Medical Center, I know for a fact because I take advantage of all of this. How many parents know? How do we get the information to them? What are we doing to get it?
I'd like you to answer that question in a minute, but the truth is, a parent, I think I'm not sure who was asking that same question recently. And the parent was telling the Lagos State official that was asking that question, don't you think it's important for your child to go to school? Why would you? Yeah, it was after the lockdown. Okay. The children were in school for a while. So now bringing them back was difficult. Many didn't come back. Many got pregnant. Things happened. And they were trying to go. Lagos State government now sound out officials to go around. Where are these children? Your children didn't come back to school. And the mother confronted one of the officials and said, what is education proposing? His older sister that went to school the other day, going to school, can't get a job. He's not back to be helping to blending pepper for me.
My God.
So what's the point? Why don't you just learn this trade with me? And there's no reason. So the value proposition of education, we need to either enforce it or find a way to present it again to these parents. Because many of them feel like there's no proposition. So in your work, let me just process our question. In your work, how do we make education attractive for parents in the lower cadre of society for them to get their children?
What can a parent like that? What can their children, even though they don't get the jobs that they so dream, what can they do with the education that they have?
Enlightenment. We still have to advocacy, enlightenment. We have to let them know. They see you on TV and they admire you. They want to be like you. Children admire, they have role models. So if you go to...
everyone can be like us.
Yes, but you can be close. Yes, you can. At least you can live a good life. You can be. You can get there if you have the right education. Better. Yes, you can demand. And then, of course, we'll get to the federal level. We need jobs. there are graduates everywhere that are looking for jobs. So we need jobs. But at this level, let's make education rosy. And we talked about Lagos state government. How many states are like Lagos State?
Yeah.
How many states?
How many?
Right.
Okay, so the advocacy for education is very loud in Lagos and in a few developed states, but we have many undercaptured locations within Nigeria that are also very important. And there is urban migration, which means that if you don't catch them there, they would come to where you are and disturb you where you are. How do we get our governors to work together? Because currently I know that the major thing everybody's talking about is insecurity. How do we get our government to see that education is a way to fight insecurity? Because if they are well...
We'll take that answer after this break. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have our child rights advocates with us, Dr. Nimi. Toko, you had a question before the break.
Yes, so I was asking about the getting government's involvement, but I just realized that let's leave government and let's even leave the issue of education. One of the things that that is really plaguing children more than ever in this season is abuse, is the sexual abuse. Considering all that has been trending in recent times, what can we, because a lot of people are watching right now, what can we do to protect our children more from these abuse? How do we spot it?
Okay, like that's the question she asked. We have to pay attention to detail as parents. Know when your child is deviating from what they used to be in the past. A child that was boisterous, playful, becoming very quiet. That should be a red flag that something is wrong. A child that is not doing well academically, a child that was okay academically, now regressing. You should, as a parent, you should find out what's happening. A child that becomes
Dr.
very...
Nimi,
yes.
There are some powerful people that abuse children, where maybe the mothers are disempowered. Maybe they are the helps, and they are dependent on these powerful people, and they can't speak. So they are now having to choose between protecting my child or surviving, where the person who you are dependent on is the abuser. In that situation, what in your work, how do you help mothers like that to find protection, and even children like that? How do you protect people like that in that situation?
I must tell you, it's a very big problem. Let me give you an example, a quick example. A parent called me. She just lost her husband, and her son was gang raped in a school. So we know that her son in secondary school was gang raped, and according to him, they were masked. And a popular school. And, I, of course, wanted to give the child all the help that he needed. The mother was happy, but when I told the mother that we're going to name the school, that we're going to put the school out there, she started begging.
Why?
She was scared. A widow. And that's what we have in Nigeria. People are scared. Stigma is a problem. People wear silence like a badge of honor. And you don't blame them. Their fears are valid. People stigmatize victims. Sadly so. And so when you see someone with so much power and influence suppressing them or oppressing them, they don't want to speak up. So as an NGO, we try to, demystify this. Let people know that they have a voice. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, you have a voice. So and you can get the help that you need.
Naming the school now, what then can you now do for that child? Because of course, when you focus on the other, the child is the victim.
Yes, of course, the child is the most important person here. Child is priority. But you see, if we don't name the school, if we don't call out the school, if we don't go there to find out the perpetrators, worse things will be happening. And nobody, we got to hear this. How about the ones that are left unheard of? So I think that people should speak up. You don't blame them, but with what we have now, NGOs are doing their best, and I think that we need the government's collaboration. It's a multi-sectoral collaboration that we need. So justice and help, and to shield them. It's enough to get justice, but when the victims are not protected, they could go behind to kill them. They could go behind to do all sorts. So we need that collaboration.
The child welfare unit within the police and the family support unit, what role do they play?
How have you seen them?
How do they assist you in your work?
They try, but I must say that sometimes they can be funny. I went to see a child. They called me to see a child that was abused on the island. And I went there. And if some of the officers were asking for money to fuel their cars.
That's the Nigerian
to fuel
story.
their cars. And I had to go to the big man. And I said, I will not pay a dime. I will not. We have to do these things for our children. Because your child is not involved does not make you should not make you apathetic. You shouldn't be apathetic to the plight of the next child, because your child could still be involved.
So I want to know how much awareness your NGO and other NGOs are creating, because the truth is some women would like to report some of these issues anonymously because of situations of maybe the abuser is the benefactor and all of that. But they do not know who to call on, where to go to. We don't open our television and see if so thing happens, call this number. You know, like we have outside the country where you don't even need to know the person. You just silently report and then the body takes over. So how much awareness are you creating for the public to understand that you have access to this? You don't even need to come personally. Just send us a message or a call and we can follow up on.
So far, people are getting aware. People are becoming aware and they call. Sometimes you hear them scream and then you have to call them. You know, sometimes they try to call you, they don't have credit because they are poor and you have to call them. So yeah, so the awareness is there, it's growing, but we have to do more. We have to sensitize the public. What more public enlightenment should be.
Let me go back to that example you gave, because I think it's important for us to talk about it. When something happened in a school, do you really think naming and shaming the school is the way to go, especially if you consider the fact that there are other children in that school? I'm just thinking from all the different sides. If we remove the child and arrest the perpetrator, maybe he's a teacher or the school was negligent, and we find a way to ensure the school pays, but do it silently such that the other children's future are not affected by this situation. Is that the right way to think? Because I'm thinking of why a mother would say, please, don't mention the school's name. Or do you think it's better for us to name and shame the entire school, let them take responsibility for what happened, and that would then affect all the other children? And
I think we should name and shame. And I think the government should be involved. I mean, it's not just to name and shame. When people are involved, powers that be are involved, you see that, you know, justice is served. So it's not just to name them and then somebody comes to debunk the allegation. It's for it to be followed through, you know. So, I mean, going back to your question, why shouldn't we do that? What of others that have been suffering? For children to break the inhibition of going to molest another child, gang rape, and do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? Maybe they're into substance abuse, because it takes a bold person to do that. It takes so much to do that. So we should name and shame and then bring out the victims. Sorry, the perpetrators.
One of the biggest another challenge we have in this scheme is that evidence cannot be gathered well. And because there's no evidence, and you cannot, it's your word against mine. Most of the cases get stalled, even when they even pursue the case. And then the parents get tired of going to the courts, adjournment, all of that. What is the advocacy towards getting the law changed to make it easy for cases involving sexual abuse to be tried better?
I think we should just throw it out there to the government to enact laws that will make sure that prosecution comes fast. And so they don't keep stalling and postponing, and before you know it, it has gone into oblivion, and then it's moribund, and nobody talks about it anymore. Let's talk about Ochaya, the 13-year-old that was molested by her uncle and his son. How far have we gone with the case? So I can go on and on. How about this Baba Elisha? I can go on, Ijesha. I can go on and on. I mean, we make noise, and you don't blame the public. They try. After that, everything just goes on. So I think there should be that continuity. The government is a multi-sectoral thing. Everyone should be a part of it. The voiceless should, the people that have a voice should come out and be the voice for the voiceless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nimi. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
thanks for staying with us. So most parents are left confused when their children are not doing well, especially in their studies. According to reports, children with learning differences are often neglected by people around them and society. And really, this could be frustrating if one does not have the expertise. So join us on the show now is the convener, Strap and Save Child Foundation, Bolanle Edwards. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
So this issue, I think many parents go through this phase where either your children are having issues understanding what they're being taught. Certainly. I had an issue with handwriting. Oh, my son's handwriting was just horrible. We tried. The teacher kept begging him, madam, please keep over the holidays. Keep trying. And you think that he'll get it. Once he starts school, it's horrible all over the place. So I was worried that he's like a disability, that he's not getting this thing right, So when we face this phase where children just not learning, what are the things we can do to begin to help them?
Thank you so much. It's very important that parents understand what exactly the children are going through. We come from a part of the world where parents just feel that my child has to be better than the other woman. I can't see the way Dele is doing in class. You should be better than him. He got 95%. You should do better next term. So we compare. So we need to come to a place where we understand why a child cannot process or make decisions by himself or herself. And these are things that you would have noticed when a child is given birth to. And as a child keeps growing, you begin to see those learning differences. We don't call them disabilities because they can be worked on. You have the dyslexia, you have the autism, you have the dyscalculia. That one has to do with math. Why you can't, immediately grasp. Dyscalculia, dyslexia, where the handwriting, your thought processing and the things like that. So really, once the parent understands and is able to understand what exactly the child is going through, begin to take that child through a learning process. Maybe get a teacher, a special teacher to begin to help, because my boy still had that bad writing thing.
Let me stay on that for a minute, because when we see it, we just say, eventually he will get better. He will come around. That's what happened to me, because I'll say write 9 and you write 6. Like I say write 9 and you write 6.
But it's better now, isn't it?
He's getting better. But so should we just let it go, or do we have to get an expert to help fix it?
I think the teacher can help.
Okay.
Obviously, the teacher in school would have seen this problem. Not a problem, sorry. This difference. And also, you can also help as well. Then if you want to also help better, you can get a lesson teacher to, even if it's just for handwriting. It's fine.
So I want to separate the issues so that we don't get confused. There are children who have learning disabilities. They have special education needs. That's another department of education on its own. And they have children who have different methods of learning. So you talk about the visual, the auditory, the kinesthetic, and all of that. Now, when you get into a classroom, for the regular children, I'm talking about regular children now, you see that some people do not really assimilate the way others assimilate. And we have a problem, like you mentioned, of comparing children. Can't you see that this person is getting it and you're not, you see your mate, and this person is not getting? Without really understanding that the methods you are using to teach these children, you're not attending to all of their needs. And that is why some schools have been able to capture what they call differentiation learning. So in one full class, not everybody takes the same homework. Not everybody is taught the same way, and they're in the same class. And at the end of the term, they come back to that. So that one is on one side. Then the learning disability itself is on another side. Now, how do you get children, how do you get parents to understand that this child is not just the average child, but this child has a learning disability and needs an expert? Because we usually confuse the two.
Absolutely. In fact, I've seen cases where parents take it personal. When you tell them that, oh, this child has a learning difference, they tell you, no, my child is okay. I want my child to attend. Yes, I forbid that. God forbid, my child is fine. My child must attend a proper school. So you find out that parents are living in self-denial. I'm sure a lot of you would have seen probably in some of the schools that some of those children shouldn't actually be in the same class as, because their level of assimilation differs. For some of the students, it's very slow, and you take some time. It takes some, process and all of that.
So parents, you're telling the parent now that they shouldn't be worried if their child is going through that.
They should not be worried. Every child has got an ability. Every child. So nobody should be worried.
Let me see, maybe they're looking like, I have a bad handwriting. Out of my father's 5 kids, I have the worst handwriting. And they did everything they could. Till now. So what I usually say, is it legible? Because I think I got to a particular point, my father would say, I can read it. So if it's legible, we're good. And I know
have you seen doctors handwriting before?
Horrible. Yes, I remember my WAEC and it was all 9 papers and everybody was wondering, but I was handwriting because I read well. Yeah. So I usually use that same method and think, leave the child, love the child the way they are, and they will be okay.
Fine.
So for some parents, maybe their inadmission of what you consider a difference is in them just accepting maybe that my child is just an apple falling from the same tree. Is it not possible that's how they see it?
Yeah, it's very possible. And you see, that's why we also need to go get help in the right places. At times, we tend to hold on to these things, just telling a few friends, you know what, this is what I'm going through, but you know what, you'll be fine. Let's just leave the child. The child will grow up and become, you know,
okay,
whatever it is that you don't get out of it. So really, it's very important that we begin to understand why a child's handwriting is the way it is. You see some children, they write so legibly well.
Yeah,
yes,
you know,
beautiful.
My son wasn't writing so well. Primary 1, primary 2, it was really horrible. But you need to see his handwriting now that he's in secondary school. Beautiful. So what happened? We didn't do anything magical.
Yeah.
We just, we helped him, we encouraged him. And because you will be losing marks. If you're not careful,
yes,
you don't write properly.
Yes. I lost marks.
Yes.
Can you also attach that to personality? Because I realize that people who are on the upside don't pay attention to writing.
And you know, ADHD is another form of...
And I really wanted to get to that place because ADHD, we see it when you study education from the Western world. If you're reading any book about Western world, you will come across this ADHD, but we don't talk about it in Nigeria. And it's sort of like, even over there are protests concerning how children are mislabeled based on just checking some features. Yeah. So I had a case where one of my twins was labeled as being slow. And my husband, I freaked out. I was just like, no. I started praying. I was checking. And then my husband said, calm down. How old is this boy? Just, don't evaluate a child less than 5 and say the child is slow. Yes. You need to give the child time. And here's where my question comes in. When is the right time to evaluate a child to know if there's a learning disability? Okay. And when should parents start getting worried?
Yeah, okay, fantastic.
I think as soon as you discover that the child is not acting normal. I don't want to use the word.
Not acting.
It's relative. You know, it's you begin to see that. Okay, we have some children. They're called runners.
Yeah, acting
they
regular.
Run, they speed, they take a flight.
Right.
That children like that. When you notice such, you need to go for an assessment. You open the door, and all they want to do is just to go. Just to
speed up.
They just want to speed up. So they call them runners.
Is that a problem?
It's not a problem, but you can make them have an assessment to know exactly how to channel that energy to become more positive. You know, that children like that.
Well, because honestly, I've had feedback concerning one of my son, my baby. He does not sit in class. Like everybody, he cannot sit down. So they bring his chair close to the teacher and make sure he sits. My son was like that. He's always standing on the chair. Yes. He's always distracted.
It's not a problem.
And how do you now train such a child to focus? Because my son is sharp. He will play. Tell him to write. It's as if you have given him the biggest work. Or sit down in one place. It's punishment.
I was online learning for him last year.
He did not. There was no.
Never.
So when a child who is even in a physical class, you are struggling to make sure to hold that child down. Then online is not, I tell people that online is not for children. It's not for children. So for such a child, it's not a worry, but it's always good to have an assessment done. You can have a professional look, just look him. They'll just have a few questions, keep him calm, put him in one place like 30 minutes, 1 hour, and they're watching. They'll be able to decide
exactly. There's a problem when your child is physically sitting and is not interested.
Whatever is happening.
My second child is so imaginary. He's everywhere. I, as a mother, have noticed it. So when I take him to school, I tell the teacher, he's a dreamer. While you're talking to him, his fast cars are running fast on the race. Please, Fortunately, we met a very kind woman now, and she's helping channel that energy. But he will sit in class, and they're talking, and after a while, I'll just be like, can I go? He's just there. I just came to school because my mommy said I should come. But, you know, and every day he tells his teacher, can I go now? Can I go now? Every day. Let me ask you a question.
So I think...
Okay, she just asked a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it's very similar to what she just asked, that it's very important that you help that child channel that energy. There's nothing wrong with a child. Help him channel the energy. You know, especially if it's a boy. Boys are very hyperactive. And that's why you see them have that ADHD issue. They're just hyperactive. And there's nothing you do that can calm them down. So help them channel, help them put more energy into what they love to do.
Physical activity.
Physical activity.
Learning should be about what the child enjoys.
Yeah. What the child's passion.
Nigeria.
Channel it.
Yeah, and that's the reason I like Montessori, because it gives you things to work with. So those very kinesthetic children, my son never walks. He's always jumping. He's somersaults everywhere. He has broken how many TVs and everything. But now he's calming down. It's gradual, but as he's growing older. But I wanted to ask about something I noticed that we don't do here as Africans. Okay. So I did a study recently on special needs education, and I realized that mothers are the first point of call to notice, let me be careful how I say it, but irregularities. So the normal child, they carried out a study with babies of 6 months to 2 years, and they realized that the normal child will play with toys, and when you want to engage, they look at you, smile, continue the play. Then they realized that those other children that had some of those disabilities are not able to give you attention when you come to them. Even when you give them the toy and everything, they are not looking at you. So there are some of these things that we as parents, when we give birth to these children, we notice. But maybe fear of village people. No.
What if you don't have the knowledge? You don't know what you
know. No, you just know that. Yeah, you just know that this child is a bit different. Yes. Could we, at that point, seek professional help to help us run the appropriate test?
You need professional help. Do you also
run
need
that test?
Just might need. I mean, that the first step is for you to take the test. You know, there are people who are doing this 24/7. You must take that test to now know exactly what you should be dealing with.
For the child,
and how the parent should be able to manage the situation. You'll be shocked to know that 1 out of every child in the world has this issue. Yeah. So that's about 4.8%. 4.8% of the population of children are having this particular difference. So it's for the parent to know exactly how to be able to. I mean, I've seen a child before, and I called the parents and said, you know what, I think you need to go have an assessment done. You know, I see that the child is jumping, is flying, then his speech is not so clear. It's about 6.
So when should their speech be clear? When the child has, my children always have.
Some children have tight tongues.
The Z is the DH. While my daughter was growing up, she lost it by the time before she was 5. But the brother is still struggling with it. His L is still a W. You know? So, and he's lasting longer than...
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll take that, because that's an important thing. Yeah, some people just say, you know what, they'll outgrow it eventually. Others are saying this, it might become a problem. Because when you move people, that kind of thing, they will carry it in their head. But we are like, this Africa, I can't afford specialists. We have enough problem. She will be all right. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thank you for staying with us. So we're still talking about learning differences among children. I think there was a question on how do we identify, how do we help teachers to help our children in this situation?
It's quite unfortunate that in Nigeria, let me speak for Nigeria, that we have already segmented education. You have they have and they have nots. Assuming everybody could be at par. Really, life is not so fair, so really you can't have everybody at par. But by adventure, we're able to, everybody can afford to... Quality education, because that's what the Child Act says. Every child has the right to quality education. And even the sustainable goals. And that's what we should be achieving by now. But unfortunately, we don't have that. So teachers that are in the school that everyone can afford to go to, they don't have what it takes. They don't have the equipment, they don't have the training, they don't have the know-how of being able to address this issue. So they're not properly trained to do so. Look at the public school, for instance. I don't know if there's inclusion for children with learning differences. You will probably, that child is probably
left on their own.
Left on their own. They come to school, they don't grasp maths, they don't know how to write, they don't know what the tree is about, they don't know what it takes for them to be able to do essay and things like that. They have such a challenge, and they're not helping them unless all of this.
Okay, Ma, what exactly should we? Yeah, what exactly should we do? So, I know that Nigerians, we like to complain about everything, but it's just a few people that sit down and say, where do I step in? So this education happens to be my line, and I decided to step in because of the experiences I had with 21st century teaching methods. And I said, okay, I can help teachers who are not in big schools for the halves, teachers who are in this
low-income private schools.
Yes, teachers who are not equipped, teachers who are not trained properly. I can help to train them, to give them some of the skills so that they can, so that wherever you are as a Nigerian child, at least you should have quality education, even if you don't have any other thing.
Absolutely.
You should have quality education.
Absolutely.
So what do you think individuals can do to help our educational system? So the thing is, some people can afford to have children in big schools and ignore.
Yes.
But we need to help every child that we can. What do you think we can do?
Thank you for coming into that space, and I pray that you will get help to do more. Because we have a lot of trainers, you know, that has to be ongoing. It has to be sustained. I look at it this way. For those who can afford to do it, really, it's just about me, myself, and I. What happens to all the teachers that are out there and they don't have what it takes for them to be able to train those children? And that's where the NGOs come in. The likes of you, they come in. You're sure you have the platform for people to come. Tell people out there that we do have places and people who are concerned about children with learning differences. You know, we have people who can even afford to take on 100 teachers. Just train them back to back. What are you doing with this money? You can't continue to stash it away. There are a lot of people who are out there who need to be trained, who need to be equipped.
Or even fund those that are already doing it.
They're already doing it.
Another thing I think that
sponsorship is very key as well.
Another thing that I think would help the question BC asked that we're not doing enough in our society is we don't visit our schools. Visit your primary school, visit your secondary school. I remember having former students visiting our schools made a huge impression on me. I liked the way they looked, they were glamorous. They spoke very well, and they were students that were in my class. Like some of them, like, you were in this class. I said, I even sat on your chair. And, like, it meant the world to me. And I think we need to do it more. Adults who should make the time and sacrifice, visit their schools and talk to the students, talk to the children.
I think that's happening a lot now. Old students, a lot of that is happening now. Thank God for social media. A lot more. It wasn't. We should do more because people are already giving back and also making sure.
I have a question because I realized that a lot of people reach out to me. Raising children with special needs, and it is expensive and it is mentally draining. Yeah. So I saw a message, I did not reply. I hope she's not watching the show because I just couldn't, I didn't have the help to give her. She has a child with cerebral palsy and she's saying she's raising this child alone and she's even getting depressed because her husband has left her alone.
Wow.
Is there any, do you know of any...
Cerebral palsy foundation has been mentioned several times. You know why kids only get to one. You know,
there's Dyslexia Foundation of Nigeria.
They're available.
And there's also an agency in Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs, LASODA.
And they help.
They do help.
But I listened to you. I wanted to come in because I lost a cerebral palsy child that I met and fell in love with recently. What kind of care
and be given to them?
Because these are children who can't help themselves, and I felt that it was while that care was mismanaged that this thing happened. What kind of care do you think we can train their parents first before we talk about maybe their teachers? Because I know Tobiloba Ajayi, she's a lawyer. So
and I think there are different spectrums.
You know, there was those that this boy, while was here, was going through therapy. He was doing well. He can recognize us when he sees you and he knows you. You will see excitement. So there are prospects. What kind of care can we train parents to give? And then there's also the mindset of giving up when you have a child like that. What kind of training can we give them?
Which is very natural. I mean, for any parent that is going through this, the first thing for you to do is to seek help. Seek help. Help. You can't do this by yourself.
Is it monetary?
Psychologists.
Some people
most times it's not about the money. Most times it's about mindset. If you don't have that growth mindset that you're going to move from that spot to another, then there's going to be an issue.
Thank you.
So you need to begin to see people who can speak to parents, give them advice. Psychologists can, talk to them. We have specialists in this area who can actually tell them, you know what, we have access to what exactly is wrong with your child, but these are the things you need to do. You personally, there are some things you need to do by yourself for yourself. You have to be in a sane state for you to be able to cope with that. I have a friend in America that, she has a child like that, and is so grown now, he's about 20. And managing that can be a lot of work. In fact, there was a time that she was almost injured in the house. So you can't do that by yourself. You need to get help. The parent needs to be, talk to, the people, they call it shrink. You need to pour out and just say, this is what you're expecting. Nobody is prepared for this. But when it does happen, you just have to phone up.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up on this, but I would like you to just leave a final word to parents who are struggling with children, not those living with disabilities, but those who are struggling to even help their children in learning. These learning differences we talked about earlier. What can they do just in 1 minute? And
okay.
We wrap up.
Already, we don't know if you have identified that your child does have such difference. Peradventure, you already know. It's very important that you seek help, and that's why we want to talk about this on Saturday. I don't know if I can give information, but we want to. It's free. It's a webinar, actually. So and that's why we identified this vacuum, and we said, okay, let's bring in professional in these different learning differences. So we have somebody who's going to talk about dyslexia, somebody talking about autism, a psychologist is going to come on, and we want a balanced discussion. So we have invited the Lagos State Agency to come talk about it. Now, what exactly is it that you're doing to help such children?
It's online. We can join you online.
It's online,
is it
yes.
a Zoom link?
It's a Zoom link, yes.
Okay, so I guess we have to share with us. So that
it's a Zoom link. I'll share it with you. So it's very important that parents come on and listen to this. Then, of course, you can get their contact afterwards. Okay. And they can take it from there. 11 a.m. to about 1 p.m.
You're working my own.
I'm in school. I have a training. Nurturing. All right, that's all we can do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For coming
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies.
That's all we can take on this. When we come back, we'll celebrate a young author. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have with us Kulthum Mayowa Asha, is one of Africa's emerging young writers who completed an online scriptwriting course at the University of Michigan. She's currently in her second year of the university and loves writing novels and short stories. She enjoys writing stories that portray African heritage and culture. Her book, The Hall of Fame, is a Pan-African novel based on her experiences. Welcome with us again, Kulthum, to the show. Thank you. Good to have you. I hear you're in ALA, or is it ALA Mauritius? Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. I know it's only the brightest that get to go to these kind of schools. But how are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
So you're in your second year, sophomore, University of Michigan?
Yeah, I'm going to my third year now.
Going to your third year.
Not University of Michigan, in African Leadership University.
Oh, yeah, okay. So you're still, okay, all right. So I guess my data isn't totally, okay, it's Mauritius, yes.
Yeah, Mauritius.
All right, so now tell us, why did you write this Hall of Fame? Tell us about the book Hall of Fame and what pushed you to write this specific book.
Okay, so it was during the COVID-19 pandemic. Like they sent us all home. Yeah. And I felt like doing nothing because I was under quarantine and I felt like I had to do something to at least utilize my time wherever. So then I was like, what novel hasn't been written yet? I already got experience from my Pan-African University. The fact that there hasn't been any book that has that much diversity. So I wanted to write a book that includes Kenyans, that includes Nigerians, everything all together, something I had learned from my school. And it was easy to write that because I spent my time with these people. I know how they are. So I'm like, I would just change the name of this character, but I know who gave me the inspiration to write this character. So then I wrote it. And also the fact that youths these days in Africa aren't getting themselves involved in what is going on in the world. So I wrote my book under the background. It's a school. They are students pretending to be lawyers and prosecutors. So they take on the roles of that lawyer and prosecutors so that any case that is brought forward, if somebody does anything and they have to get a punishment, those students will come forward they will battle it out in this makeshift courtroom, and everything is solved. So then this final judge makes the final verdict. And so I was like, if youths can actually like get more involved. So all these crimes, they are crimes that happen in Africa. I just like find a way to merge them into a school so that you know that students too can actually get involved in these things. So the school is the backdrop of Africa.
Oh, wow.
So if you look at it like a metaphor for like children and youths actually getting involved in what is going on in Africa.
Great.
Yes. So I would love to know what your background is. I used to think you have to have been a writer or taking, you know, classes all your life, or written small novels before you can actually write a book this size. So what was the journey like? How did you arrive at this kind of book?
So I started with poems. I thought I was writing songs, but then 3 lines, 4 lines were not as long as the songs I wanted. So every time I keep writing. Then at a point in time, every single time in school, they always tell us, write essay about your mommy or your daddy. And I got so frustrated. So I had this book. I write essay of my mommy, my daddy, my best friend. So I already had them in a book. So the next time they call me to come and write this essay, I just take this page, give them. Yeah. Because I always knew that, write about your uncle, you traveled to meet him, then you want to like ask help from him. I already had those laid down already. So that was like the talent I had. Then as I kept going on in school, my friend, write this essay for me. I'll pay you this amount. Okay, bring it. I'll write it for you.
So you're already writing. You love writing.
I love it already.
For me, I like the idea of borrowing the experiences from Africa and pulling stories around Africa. And I'm happy that you've also been around Africa. What would you say you've seen as a common challenge among young people, regardless of the country they're from?
Okay. So this fact about bullying, that is a very, very major challenge. And that was like the major crime that was in my book that revolved around the whole story. Because regardless of your country, someone has made you feel intimidated. And you felt like you have to go into depression. Because depression, too, is also a problem that goes around those. And in my school, it's a very prominent thing. So we have like counselors already ready. So if you feel like you are down or someone intimidated, you just go and meet the wellness counselor.
Bullying and depression.
Bullying and depression. Those are the major things. And in my book, we have them, and it shows how you solve those problems. Because I can't just write the problem without the solution. So I want everything to be all in one. That kind of thing.
I'm happy to be having this conversation with you.
I'm really wowed, and you're quite impressive. And I would like you to. So I meet a lot of young people, and I don't see them visionary like you are. I see them that they have talents, but there's this thing about them that they just want to sit down and let the money flow in. They're not thinking of, you know, picking problems and giving solutions to problems. How did you come to that space in your mind, as young as you were, to know that I am here to be a solution? What happened? What transpired in your head?
Okay. So, you know, you meet different people as you grow up in life. You meet so many people. You see these problems and you're like, I wish I could solve them. Young people say they wish they can solve them, but nobody actually really takes action. So I want to be different. Somebody that will actually take the action and try to solve this particular problem. And my quote that I live by is that if it's important to you, you find a way. If it's not, you find an excuse. So whatever excuse, whatever is, and somebody's coming up, if it's very important to me. So I found a way by putting it all in one book so that you'll be able to find solutions.
Tell me about your background, because sometimes we need to what kind of parents do you have? Well, what influence does your mom, your dad, your siblings have around you? And give us a picture of how you're growing up and what they used to do.
Is it your family that is the picture of the family set in the beginning of your book?
No, it's not.
Sorry,
tell me about your growing up, yes.
Okay, so I come from a family where if they see talent, they try to nurture it as fast as possible. They're not those kind of people that force, so you will be a doctor, I want you to be no, if they see any talent, like this girl has been writing songs, okay, let's try nurture. So every competition, everything, whether I win or not, my dad keeps telling me, go for this competition. It's always so frustrating because I'll be writing exams at school. All of a sudden, sends in this competition, you have to do it. I don't win, I never win, but he keeps sending it. So I'm like, is he not going to give up? But I felt like it wasn't that giving up. He wanted to just practice. Yes. So when I learn how to write, I keep going. And also, I come from, my mother is that kind of person that English is her greatest turf. So she's like, you have to perfect every single thing. So if I write essays, she'll read it over, all the grammatical mistakes. So she's already there. She already pushed me to art already, that this is what the talent you have, go for it. Don't go for business because your only money is your mind. Do what you like and make money doing what you like. So those are the kind of people I grew up with. My brother, my mom, everything.
So I want to ask you a little bit more about your parents because we as parents, a lot of parents are watching and they are trying to see, who do I need to become to have a child this smart? Was your mom working, or was she a full-time mother? Did you have any a sit-home parent, or were you always with maids and all of that? Were you just supportive?
So the thing is that my mom was working before I was born. But the moment she realized that when she wasn't with us, we weren't like putting in our efforts in school. She didn't know what was going on in our life, so she resigned. She spent full-time. She was a full-time mom with us. Our assignments, all those things, she was always there, trying to see. So what don't you understand? Tell me. This kind of people
Did you have a lesson teacher, or was she a lesson teacher?
She was both. Everything. She will be with the lesson teacher. So those kind of people that want you to know. So if there's a problem, going straight to the principal to ask, why isn't she getting this particular score? So yes, and after I was done with primary school, high school, she went back to work. So you know that in university,
so she
I can handle myself.
To nurture you guys.
Yes.
Wow. Let us calm down. Take that information in first. Take it in.
I'm the one that asked the question. I didn't expect that.
Okay, go ahead, Nima, with your question.
Two children. Two of us, yes.
Maybe...
You have 2 children.
You want to resign, Nima?
But you see, it's good to hear. I love that question because we always ask to see if, you know, there's this...
You can have it.
Yeah, you can have it. Sometimes we have to sacrifice. Parents have to sacrifice. And I think that's that's the reality we have to face. That a mother who chooses to step aside from work, focus on the children, these are some of the results you get. And you don't lose your career totally because you can actually go back to it. Because you can actually develop yourself. So that's what your mom did. She went back once you guys were old enough to stand by yourself. Interesting perspective.
Now you're looking at me as dad did.
That was working.
We know that mommy gave up. But how?
What was the role of your...
What was daddy just, African daddy?
No, daddy wasn't African. Daddy was the one that told me, like the things that he can't be with us that many times because he goes to work. But the things that he keeps sending things, like, the competitions that he keeps sending. But now, I feel like he's spending more time because, like, mommy took from primary school and secondary school, but he's taking over from university. I don't know if you understand. But there's this more attention. So what don't you understand now? Right. I have time. We are more mature. We can have this conversation.
Let's talk about the future for the moment. So now you've written this great book. Yes. You're still in your 2nd year. And you obviously, you are in your area. You're fulfilling your purpose. Where do you see yourself? 5 years, 10 years? 10 years. What do you hope to do?
Okay, so I'm a very big dreamer. So I'll just keep what I really, really want to do aside. But according to how I've arranged my, because I already have like what I want to be in 5 years, 2 years. I've arranged everything.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
So according to me, I'm going to graduate 2023. Okay. So I'm going to
by God's grace.
By God's grace. I'm going to do my masters by God's grace in Canada. So by then you can work and do your masters at the same time. So then I'll be working. I want to work at HarperCollins. The publishing house I want to be able to go there, yes, in Canada. I want to be able to go there, gain more experience. And after my master's, I'll stay there for 1 more year just to really gain experience. Then I'll come back to Nigeria and I want to make my own publishing house.
Hey! First of all, I say, yes. First of all, by God's special grace and mercy, I'll be an investor in that your publishing house. I'll be one of your investors, and I'll be here to definitely support that dream. And I pray that what you have just said now, God has heard it and He has stamped it. And it will happen like that for you.
I'm shocked too. At 18, you
don't plan now. This is Nigerian, born in Nigeria, raised in Nigeria.
Okay, let's confirm that. When you were young, did you used to travel for vacation abroad? Were you doing summer? Were you doing did you have like, did your parents take you around the world?
You're fully blown Nigerian.
Dubai.
You went to
Dubai?
Like three times, but I don't think that influenced anything.
But at what age did you go to Dubai? As a baby or as a...
I went when I was like 6.
Okay.
Then I went again at 8, I guess. I went to London once. I was like 6 too. I think that age range.
Okay, so let me ask you.
That's not the reason.
There are some young people who feel their parents have not given them enough. They come from homes where everybody is struggling and they make excuses for not wanting to think about their lives. What do you have to say to people like that?
Like I said before, if it's important to you, you find a way. These excuses should not. That's why I even prefer it starting from scratch than being a big person. But if you keep saying that this your low background is you're not going to get anywhere. You have to keep struggling. keep struggling. Even me that didn't have like a low bag, I'm still struggling. Courses in school that are so hard for me, but I can't make excuses. I have to keep struggling. Because I have this aim. I want a first class, and I'm going to get that first class.
So you have a vision for your life.
I'm just giving you.
I'm telling you. I have your age mate in my house living with me right now, and I'm going to go on. When I get home, I'll open the show on YouTube and ensure
please watch
it. And I think that every parent should get their teenagers to watch because we get inspired by what we see. Now, please, I have a question. Wait. I am trying to understand how you think, and I'm trying to understand how your parents influence that. Have you had experience with people who did not have the privileges you've had growing up? And did you think those privileges influenced you to be who you are? And how are you seeing the impact of not having enough, helping for those that don't seem not to have that advantage of my parents travel, my parents could take a break from work?
Okay, so I went to a school in Oko, Thomas Adeomi International College. So that school, there are people on scholarship. They live in that Oko village. So they are also on scholarship in that school. And so people that are so rich, also in that school. So when they have the top 10, the poor people can be at the top. Then when they call the bottom 10, those rich people can be at the bottom 10. So I've seen this set of people. I've seen these two. I'm friends with one of them, and I'm friends with the other one that's very, very rich. So you see, how are these people different? So it makes me wonder, like, if this person is finding it so hard to go to university, me that I'm in university, I have to put so much effort. Because I cannot keep playing. There's a big difference between both of us. So it feels like I'm not doing anything.
Right.
Yes, if somebody's struggling to enter university and I'm in university and I'm wasting my time.
Right.
But then that other set of person that is actually very well brought up, affluent, then they go to school and just mess it up.
There's something I've noticed with what he has said so far. You are intrinsically motivated. So it's from within. It had nothing to do with, whatever situation you could have found yourself, you would have found a way to make it. But that's who you are.
I want to talk about your sibling. Okay. I really want to understand, where...
Male, female?
Male.
So is he like you?
No.
Even if it's different, because you're saying your mom put in certain efforts, is it yielding the same result? Are you two different people?
Different people. So it's different. He doesn't like reading, but it's very good. It's like his auditory nerves are very, very good. Like, he doesn't listen in class, but he doesn't pay attention in class, but he listens. And that's his greatest talent, because he'll watch TV. But he's not paying attention. By the same time, all of a sudden, the advert is ringing out, and he's singing it word for word. Right. So that is like, my parents looked at it like we are both different. I like reading. Camille is a very good listener. So we looked at it that, how do we nurture Camille's talent for listening? Do we, like, when we want to read things to him, do we read it by holding the book? Or do we read the books to him, like, or when he wants to read novels, he goes for all these audio novels, where he can really read very well. Right. And instead, since he has a very good retentive memory, we try to, like, okay, look at this book, let me repeat it. So we know how to manage that kind of thing.
How old is he now?
My brother is 15.
Okay, still young.
Okay, let me ask you this question, and I really hope your parents will not mind me asking this question. Because you're 18, you're a teenager, you're an adolescent. I mean, there are issues with boys. There are crushes, there are people that like you and all that. There are young people out there who are having crushes on different people. How do you manage that area as a young person? And I know your mom is here, you don't have to look at her, you might be blocking her face. How do you manage those kind of pressures as a young teenager?
So you see, the thing is that, yes, I have crushes, and like normal, ordinary thing that I go to school, I like this person, but things that I speak very well to my parents. So I can go home and be like, I had a crush on this guy, and this thing happened. So my dad is like, you need to also be getting experience at the same time. Yes, you can have crushes, but at the same time, you have to look at the other side of it, balance it very well with it. So the thing is that he lets me have the crush. It never works out. So then I come back to him and he's like, can you see the results? So all these things, you are gaining experience. You are watching it, you are seeing that this thing will actually happen. You can actually date. You can have all these things.
You date?
No, I do not.
Why?
I feel like I'm too focused and I don't want to have anything going. Yes. I don't get distracted easily, but I just feel like it's going to distract me.
Do you have fun? You sound so serious.
No, she doesn't sound serious to me.
This Canada you are going to, there are plenty of many people your age. They're doing all sorts of things. How would you hold yourself?
Have fun? Like, do you sing, dance? Do you like relax?
You party?
Watch movies?
Yes. So the thing about me is that in my school, that's a very, very bright place. The night, they are so agile and happy in the night, but I'm always in my room. But you know that I'm not in my room reading. And I also watch Netflix. I went to a party with them once. Maybe I don't like the party surrounding, but I've gone with them. I go to the beach. I actually have fun. I like going shopping. I do other things. Fun anyway. Yeah, I party with my female friends in my room. Very nice. I find ways to make myself happy. But I'm never sad.
We have to wrap up. I really wish we could wrap up. I mean, there's so much learning from you. I know you want to be an author. You want to have a publishing firm, your own company. Now, what are those things you have seen as a teenager that you'd like to give back to this community, to the society? What are those things that's hurt you as a teenager that you feel like, okay, when I finally make it in life, this is the kind of problem I would like to fix?
Okay, so from when I've been in school, I've encountered so many problems with different courses that I feel like I haven't been introduced to very well. Like I'm having problem with one called African Studies, and I feel like I haven't gotten a proper background into it. So I feel like Nigerian curriculum, the school curriculum itself, should have world studies, because my school is focused on everything happening in Africa. Nigerian curriculum, everything happening in Nigeria. And that makes it hard for people that want to go abroad, outside Nigeria, because you don't know much about it. So I always feel so lost. They're asking, do you know Timbuktu? And I'm trying to remember where I heard that from. Yes, because I don't have that proper background. So if I actually, when I grow up, I would like to, maybe find a way to, tell them to add that to the curriculum. Yes, find a way to unify the curriculum so that at least we can have proper background to all these things.
You sound like a grown-up already. You're still growing like this.
Imagine, you even have solutions to some of the problems you already have. Okay. But is there another book in the works?
Yeah, the second book, the sequel.
Wow, the sequel to this. Hall of Fame. Nice. Well done.
We love you already.
Any last word we have to wrap up with? Any final words to our viewers?
You can get the Hall of Fame at Robin Heights.
We'll let you mark.
At Robin Heights and Latana bookshop. You can get the Hall of Fame from there.
It's a nice book.
We let you market. We usually don't even market, but we'll allow you. You have swept us off our feet. Great. All right, that's all we can take. Congratulations. We just wish you the best. And we just hope that you keep in touch with the show. We'd love you to keep, be our little sister. That we just once in a while let us know what's going on with you. We'll definitely want to keep up with you. Okay?
Tweets are greeting you.
Oh, tweets. Please, read it before we run up.
Tubasu says, powerful stories from Asha. She is the type of motivational speaker children should be made to listen to.
Yeah.
Someone is referring to your interview on another channel prior to this. And Bilkis Mafe said, parents, guardians, and caregivers need to understand each child will grow at their own pace. Comparison doesn't bring out the best in any child. They should be supported to exhibit their own uniqueness.
All right, that's all we can take on the show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.